the fact that we might disagree. But just calling me a coastal elite, that's like me calling you you're just a MAGA cultist, you know? Yeah, I mean, at least MAGA cultist, you know what it means. It means you have a trust fund. I don't have a trust fund, okay? If I had a trust fund, would I be on here pitching people to help us with this show? I would just sponsor it. Michael Reich. First, I want a big shout out to Michael Reich, who gives us this
big shout out.
It has to be this amount, so you get the $10. Oh, $17.27. Because YouTube takes a piece. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, it's true. YouTube does, but to me, it's worth it to have YouTube take a piece of super stickers and super chats, if that's what you're insinuating. Insinuating is a ding word. Because they make it easy for you to help us out. So, but thank you, Michael Reich. You've had some good stuff today. By the way, even if I had a trust fund, which I don't, why would that matter to the conversation about politics and about the economy? Look at any number of wealthy people who are, on the side of those who are not wealthy. So I don't get it. Anyway, Michael, will you stop with the stalling so we can get to your segment? My God, it's unbelievable, sir. I love this moment in the week. It means we get to talk movies with a guy who has written about movies and been on the radio about movies for decades now.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, hasn't it been decades or not?
I think it's been a minute. That's about all.
I'm sorry, but you're still youthful. Don't get me wrong. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He's the wonderful Michael Snyder, everyone. Michael, welcome.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm feeling refreshed. It's not just the Coachella Valley coffee, which is a booster, baby. No, sir. It's the fact that I just had a tall, cool glass of plastic particulate, and I am ready to go. I'm energized. And as it happens, I'm happy to feel good right now. I just recovered from a bout of the hooties. I'm telling you, it's worse than the heebie-jeebies.
Yes, I get it.
I've been basically recovering for a few days, and while doing so, I've been working up my new band. Did you know I have a new band?
Oh, no, I did not. What's the name of the band?
It's with Darius Rucker. It's called Booty and the Hoefish. And
I see.
We're really excited to be bringing together his country leanings.
Don't applaud that.
And my anarchic lunacy. Speaking of plastics, no, we won't get to that quite yet. I have a bone to pick with you regarding Oppenheimer and your inability to get through.
Good. At least we're talking movies now. I couldn't get through Oppenheimer as a streamer. I'm the only one in America who's got the guts to say it.
I have 4 words for you. Are you ready? Here are the 4 words. Tenuta Vineyards and Edibles. You're watching these things
it's true.
in the evening.
It is true.
And you're dozing off.
I'm sorry.
A movie that requires your attention. That's the issue. He asked me, what movie should I watch? Courtney and I want to watch. I said, you've got to watch Oppenheimer. It's exquisite. But, Mark, maybe watch it in 2 parts.
Doesn't anybody better wait?
Try to do it before you're popping Mr. Gummy.
It is true. I do. I work hard all day, and I just do at night. I like the Tenuta wine, and I also like the edibles. So you're right.
Yeah, okay.
I'll take another crack on it. But honestly, Michael, I believe that they could have, truly trimmed a bunch out of the first hour.
See, I feel like you're self-editing every time you doze off because of the gummies and the Tenuta Vineyards wine.
Maybe you're right. You could be right.
Anyway,
I saw The Holdovers last night, and I really liked it.
As I encouraged you to
Alexander
do,
Payne's movie.
Oh, my God.
I watched it. And it was really good.
Right here on the Mark Thompson show a couple months ago, I said it would be a sin if Divine Joy Randolph didn't get every accolade for her performance in a supporting role in The Holdovers. And even though I sneer at the Golden Globes and most award shows, I am delighted that Ms. Randolph was acknowledged. And if you don't know who she is, she's the sassy detective on Only Murders in the Building. But she has so much more range.
Oh, my God.
In The Holdovers.
That was an elegant performance almost. It was so deftly done. And something you said, accolade, that was it. Gets a ding. Go ahead.
You're telling me you're not going to ding yourself for deftly? Come on,
deftly,
buddy.
Okay, right.
All right. Anyway, again, getting back to plastics. Remember Mean Girls? Do you remember the movie Mean Girls?
Sure.
From 2004. The plastics were the highly elevated clique of queen bees that, young Katie is aspired to join or is, invited to join. And I'm going to say in no way, shape, or form is this current movie of the 2017 musical comedy version of the terrifically funny, fresh, and of the moment, and that moment was 2004, teen comedy Mean Girls, as good as the original. In no way is it as good as the first film, which, has incidental music, but no songs or, major kind of production numbers. And, it's probably not as good as seeing the musical live on Broadway when it debuted. I got good notices, and it was, I guess fun to see it in person. There are some okay songs in the musical and the production numbers, which are performed by a very enthusiastic cast in the movie with a goodly portion of representation, which is important, more so than the original film. And the writer of all versions of the project, except for the crappy made-for-TV 2011 movie Mean Girls 2, which has nothing to do with any of the main characters of the original, is Tina Fey, who was inspired to write this thing by the bestseller Queen Bees and Wannabes about cliques in high school. And Tina does come up with a few new and amusing 2020s era quips here and there in the new version, some courtesy of the tech updates since the early 2000s, like TikTok jokes, right?
I see.
You wouldn't have made them back in 2004.
Sure. Right. So okay.
But the best dialogue and setups are recycled or refurbished from the proto Mean Girls, the Mean Girls, if you will. So we've seen and heard much of this before, and it was a jolt and more laughs the first time around. Plus, as lively, energetic, and talented as the new cast is, Angourie Rice as the winsome new girl in school, Katie Heron is a delight, and Renee Rapp as the school's reigning queen bee, and Mean Girl clique leader Regina George is absolutely stunning. And in fact, she played the role on Broadway. Despite all that, I'll be straight up with you, man. You also, by the way, let me point out, you also get the return or rerun of Tim Meadows as the high school's principal and Faye herself as a frazzled teacher and advisor from the first film. But Rachel McAdams as Regina and Lindsay Lohan as Katie were so dazzling in the original that they set a pretty high bar. So one of my colleagues said, it's like a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox. You kind of lose clarity a little bit, but I won't go that far. You do have a really good supporting work from Jenna Fisher, Busy Phillips. Jenna Fisher plays Katie's mom. Busy Phillips plays Regina's mom. John Hamm and Ashley Park, the wonderful Broadway star who elevates every episode of Emily in Paris. I love Ashley Park. They are also on board in very small roles comparatively. And there is a notable callback cameo that I won't reveal, spoilers. And directors Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez Jr. do keep things rolling. This is not a bad film. It's pretty good, but, you're going to always compare it to the original. And it falls short of that. So if you're a big fan of the original movie, you may enjoy this or you may look upon it with disdain. But I thought Mean Girls was pretty good, just not, at all as startling and wonderful as the first film, which, by the way, you can watch streaming, and boy, oh boy, it's so much fun. And it's a little bit of a period piece at this point.
Yeah, you seem to have really liked the first one more, but is this a throwaway or are you?
No, it's okay.
You seem like it's okay. Right.
It's just
all right. You spent a lot of time on it. You want to move on?
I would love to. One of my favorite skits on the old SCTV sketch comedy show was Farm Film Report. Do you remember that? Joe Flaherty and John Candy play Big Jim McBob and Billy Sol Hurok, which is a very funny name if you know who Sol Hurok is. Anyway, there are a couple of rubes who review movies and are especially fond of ones that feature stuff, and I'll quote here, blowing up real good. And one of the gags involved them exhorting a celebrity guest to blow up while they're being interviewed. You're always waiting for the big explosion.
Exhorting.
So with that in mind, let's turn to my next review. If you ever enjoyed the lean, limber, and generally dour British bruiser Jason Statham,
love Jason Statham, and I'll ding dour.
On screen in Take No Prisoners, just mow 'em down fashion, I've got good news, mate. The Beekeeper is here, and it comes in the middle of a spate of releases that all feature lead characters who left a brutal, danger-fraught job behind and have taken up a humble, low-key profession, like Beekeeper. In all cases, our hero or anti-hero is pulled back into action by, circumstances.
I don't want to do it, mate, but I've got to do it.
He talks like that.
Thank you, Jason. There was The Bricklayer, which I reviewed last week, and The Painter, which I am going to avoid. I mean, enough is enough. And that said, The Beekeeper is actually a fine popcorn muncher.
Wow.
I actually
love it.
dug it. Yeah, it's empty calories, but it's the action flick of the week, and it has plenty of fury and lunacy to go around with lots of conspiratorial machinations behind the cybercrime that triggers the Beekeeper's rampage. You know, the movie is overseen by director David Ayer, who has made a couple really good movies. He wrote and directed Fury and End of Watch, both of which I highly recommend. But he also wrote Training Day, which is fantastic.
One of the best.
And when he can dial back his more hacky, grind out some product tendencies, like, for instance, the Feeble First Suicide Squad movie, which was all his, you know, he can make a good film. And speaking of hacks, the script was by Kurt Wimmer, who has written some weak remakes of classics, including Point Break and Total Recall, as well as the latest and possibly lamest installment of the Expendables franchise, number 4, which, by the way, features Statham leading its army of mid-level action heroes. And happily, The Beekeeper keeps its focus on Statham, who is like a constantly ticking, exploding, and resetting time bomb named Adam Clay, who sought the quietude of cultivating bees and running a modest honey business after years of being a hired gun. Look, this was a film that embraces its over-the-top qualities.
I don't want to do it. I have to do it.
It revels in its formula. And it makes it a win for Wimmer, you know, oddly.
Win for a Wimmer, everybody. It's called The Beekeeper, Jason Statham. And you think it could, you think it'll be streaming soon so I can do edibles and Tenuta wine while I watch it?
I would hope so. It's a B movie. It doesn't deny its nature.
It's a B movie. I get it.
It's got
I think it was unintentional.
But for you, look, it's got the kinetic violence, the bursts of hand-to-hand combat, the shoot 'em ups and blow 'em up. So maybe
kinetic,
but it has that dour humor that so reflects its leading man.
Dour, I'll ding. Also, Tom is saying that quietude. I didn't hear you even say quietude, but is a ding word.
The wiki aspects of this. This is kind of John Wick light on some level. My friend Hugh came along. He didn't have his clicker, so we didn't get the number of bodies as we got in John Wick 4.
That's a callback. When they went to John Wick,
the fourth one.
The fourth one, literally, Michael's friend had a clicker with him, and he clicked every time somebody was killed.
127 dead bodies. We didn't do it. But by the way, the supporting cast features the slumming Jeremy Irons, Gemma Redgrave, Minnie Driver, Felicia Rashad, not a slouch among them. It's in theaters. I had fun, and it's going to be fun when it streams because I know you don't want to go to the movie theater these days. Mark.
I do. Well, it's just that the movie theater's got a lot of stuff associated with it I don't want to deal with. So,
Well, in a very bold move by any standard, Black British filmmaker James Samuel wrote and directed The Book of Clarence, which is his attempt to do a modern-day version of the 1950s and 60s widescreen biblical epics, complete with a chariot race. I mean, this thing starts off with a chariot race.
Wow.
And speaking of race...
Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters.
Speaking of race, the cast is primarily black.
Great.
And
good.
Speaking a mix of street patter and kind of stentorian oration. Get your dinger out.
That is a dinger.
While dressed in appropriate early AD garb, you know, Anno Domini for Year of Our Lord, period garb, cavorting around a desert location done up as Jerusalem. As such, the movie has some fun with the myth of the fair-haired, blue-eyed Jesus.
Yes, I mean, the truth is the people who of that area and of that era around Jesus looked more like these black actors than the white European Jesus that is everywhere.
Well,
isn't that correct?
In fact, the Clarence of the title, played by the always charismatic Lakeith Stanfield, is a non-believer, unlike his twin brother Thomas, who was a member of the Apostles and also played by Stanfield. And saddled with debt and threatened by a local moneylender, Clarence sees the love showered on Jesus and decides, I'm going to proclaim myself the new Messiah. So wacky situations ensue in this parallel story to the so-called greatest story ever told.
Wow.
Samuel is simultaneously trying to honor the classic old Bible movies and the Prince of Peace himself while wringing laughs out of the situation. And he's aided and abetted by a cast that includes established stars Stanfield, David Oyelowo as John the Baptist, Omar Sy, Lupin himself as Barabbas, well-muscled, Alfre Woodard as Mary, mother of Jesus, and Marianne Jean-Baptiste as Clarence's mom, as well as some young stars, Anna Diop, Tiana Taylor, R.J. Seiler, and more. Oh, yeah, there are a couple of white guys on board. James McAvoy as Pontius Pilate.
Wow.
And Benedict Cumberbatch, and I won't reveal who he is, but they are not too shabby in the thespian game. Some of the gags fall flat, and Samuel's anachronistic elements don't always make sense. But
Abetted is a ding word and anachronistic is a ding
but
word.
more often than not, the homage paid to the venerable biblical flicks has wit and power, and little touches like the title cards that seem straight out of Ben-Hur are pretty cool. I give the Book of Clarence an A for ambition, a B for bravura, and a C for coherence. On occasion, I was even delighted. Other
Bravura,
times,
coherence.
other times I was like, for or what the F. But altogether, the Book of Clarence gets a passing grade from me. It's in theaters.
Venerable is a ding word. I wanted to ask you, though, a lot of people are saying in the chat, is this Life of Brian? I mean, is it a little Life of Brian-y from Monty Python? It feels like it's sort of...
It's not as absurd. It's funky.
Okay.
And in that regard, and it does have, like I said, kind of modern patter mixed in with the usual thee and thou and all the rest of that.
I think I might go to I think I would like to go to the theater to see this. I love this idea.
If you do, go to a Magic Johnson theater. I think it's going to be a lot more fun in an inner city area because it will be a berserk experience.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
I really am looking forward to this. You liked it. Okay,
I
good.
did. One more quick film review, if you don't mind.
Please.
Self-Reliance is the first feature film to be directed by the comedic actor Jake Johnson, who also wrote the script, and it's not bad. In fact, it's okay, although it does run out of steam in the third act. So Johnson is probably best known as one of the male leads on the Zooey Deschanel sitcom New Girl. He was the schlubby nice guy who was the long unrequited perfect match for Zoe's Jess character. And spoiler alert, the guy who ends up in a romantic relationship with her by the finale of the series.
Unrequited.
In Self-Reliance, he again plays an unkempt guy, although in this case, his character, who happens to be named Tommy, is trapped in a stultifyingly dull job.
Stultifyingly.
Has been unlucky in love, lives at home with his mother, is regularly berated by his two sisters, and pitied by his brother-in-law. And one day, a limo pulls up next to Tommy as he's walking down the street. In the back seat is actor Andy Samberg playing himself. And he invites Tommy inside the car and then offers Tommy I guess you'd call it the chance of a lifetime. Participate in a dark web reality TV show that features people trying to kill you for 30 days. And if you survive, you win $1 million. So you don't know who's a potential assassin. But the rules say that if you're in the close company of someone else, you're safe from harm. So Tommy has to find anyone to be with him 24/7 to stay alive, and he has a hostile family and no friends to speak of, so he goes online, and that opens the door for Anna Kendrick's character, who is recruited by Tommy with his online ad. But is she friend or possible romantic interest or foe? Maybe she's one of the killers on his tail. And underlying this whole shebang is the question of whether or not the game is legit. As I said before, kind of loses its way by the end, but Self-Reliance is not what I'd call great cinema. On the other hand, the ever-likable Johnson and Kendrick have totally great chemistry, and there are some amusing moments throughout, as well as kind of implicit commentary on the vapidity and self-deprecation of reality TV. You also get Christopher Lloyd in a supporting role.
Wow.
It's okay. In theaters and streaming on demand via various platforms, it's called Self-Reliance.
Wow. Well, we have certainly visited a lot here, Michael Snyder. You have more than distinguished yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, old bean.
Mean Girls was the first one that he discussed. And Mean Girls, speaking of first one, he says the first Mean Girls was better than this one, although this isn't awful.
No, it's better. It's good. It's just you're comparing it to something that set a standard.
So maybe check it out.
Yeah.
The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. He liked it. in this series of movies with names like the Beekeeper and
The painter, the bricklayer.
Yeah, he likes the Beekeeper.
Someone recommended the baker with Steven Seagal putting your buns in the oven or something. I don't remember what the premise was, but no.
It's time to take the oven mitts off.
Right, thank you.
And settle a score. The Beekeeper, he likes, though he wants to remind you that it is a B movie, meaning it's just a popcorn movie.
I think there's a big buzz on this film.
All right. The Beekeeper, Jason Statham. The Book of Clarence, which is the reimagining of a biblical tale, the origin story, Jesus and beyond. I think it sounds super interesting. Michael liked it, and there are a lot of really good actors who you will recognize in this movie.
Yeah, it's the most adventurous of the 4 films.
The Book of Clarence is the one I want to see, but it's not the last one. The last one he reviewed is Self-Reliance. Anna Kendrick, Jake Johnson, Andy Samberg. He likes the concept. He felt it didn't finish strongly, but he likes the first 2/3 of the film is what I got
I enjoyed the ride to a point.
Yeah. So I feel you've acquitted yourself quite admirably today.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the best of the best, buddy.
That really is good. Now, next week, do you want to give us a peek at what you might be reviewing next week?
Well, it is January, which means things are pretty feeble. We may have some foreign films. Some
Are you
indie
also
stuff.
going to look at this Clive Owen performance of Sam Spade?
I am so excited about this. If people don't know about, it's called Monsieur Spade, and it's coming out. It's a streaming series, and it features the great Clive Owen as the 60-year-old Sam Spade who has left San Francisco, and this is 20 years after the end of the Maltese Falcon, and he's moved to the south of France. But danger and mystery have followed him there. Or, I don't know, are they there waiting for him? I'm excited
I'm excited to see it. Monsieur Spade, that's it. Thank you. You can see it there playing the great Detective Sam Spade. I think Clive Owen is one of the great actors of his generation. I think he's brilliant.
He was wonderful in Children of Men, for instance, the dystopian sci-fi
I liked him
movie.
in Closer, with Jude Law. Julia Roberts, I think, was in that. And I saw it on stage on Broadway also. He was brilliant in that version of it.
And I've always liked him, in most of the things I've seen him in.
They talked about him as James Bond for a while, and then that kind of melted away. But I think he would have been great. No matter what he does, I think he's just brilliant. So I can't wait to hear your review on that. Michael, go drink some Coachella Valley coffee. He comes and goes on a rainbow, and he writes in the Marina Times. Check him out, the great Michael Snyder.
I'm wired, baby. Go Niners next week.
Next week, Niners have this weekend off. They can watch like everybody else. So. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.